Hello there, my name is George Hurst. This video program is on tooling a tiger head in leather. The pattern we will be using is based on a design by Al Stolman in his Figure Carving Finesse book, with a few changes in tool selection. I have dampened my leather quite thoroughly and then allowed it to dry until it begins to return to its natural color. At that time we can begin our tracing. Please note I have taped my tracing film to the top so that I can lift it up and check it from time to time to see how I'm doing. And on here we have little short strokes which will indicate cuts. We have long straight lines, such as you see on the whiskers, which will also indicate cuts, as will the eyes and parts around the ears. So when we trace, we'll trace just as we see them. Here, the lower jaw, I'm tracing with short little strokes that'll indicate that I need to cut short little strokes there. And as you can see, I get a real nice tracing pattern. This is because my water content is just right. And I will trace all my little shortcuts on the upper lip, and then as I get here, we'll just do some dotted lines which will indicate that we're going to do some beveling there, but no cutting. Now we will come around the other side, do the same thing, and do the dotted line. For the nose, we'll have a cut here at the nostrils, and we'll come around. Now there'll be a dotted line across the top. We will continue tracing like this. Now, for the whiskers, we need to be very careful. We will do 2 lines. And then you can see the results. The eyes we will do very carefully. And then along the edge of the head here, we'll have longer whiskers, so let's trace them as longer ones. You'll see why we're doing this later when we start our cutting. So we will continue in this same manner, tracing lines either as short cuts, longer cuts, dotted lines, where we'll do some beveling, and straight lines as we do around the ear. It appears that we have done all of our tracing, so we'll now go on to the next step, which will be the swivel knife cutting. To do my swivel knife cutting, I'm going to use a ergo swivel knife with a 1/4 inch thin ceramic blade. I find this works best for me when doing this kind of work. I will, of course, strop it on a piece of cardboard treated with jeweler's rouge. This will make my knife work much better. I will start by cutting the ear up here. I will carefully cut the outside As you can see, turning the leather as necessary to keep the cuts coming toward my body. And now, down here for these shorter cuts, I will take my knife and just very carefully make some short cuts, as you can see. Make sure you get them going in the right direction, as you see on the tracing pattern. You'll also notice that in the ear we have some longer cuts, so we will do those the same way. We'll make a longer cut and making sure we're going in the proper direction. Along the top of the head here, we have some very short cuts, so we will cut those. As you can see, very, very short, almost just stabbing into the leather. Here again, make sure you go in the right direction as they are on the tracing pattern. For the eye, I'm going to very carefully cut the upper lid. Cut the upper lid first, and then cut the lower lid, being very careful to stay right on the line. And be careful not to cut past the upper eyelid. Do the same thing on the other eye. Very carefully. On the longer hair, or you notice here on the side of the head, we start with shorter hairs up here by the ear, and as we come down along the side of the head, the cuts get longer. The whiskers you need to do very carefully. It would not hurt to strop your knife again before you do the whiskers. Now these don't have to be cut real deep, but they do have to be cut very carefully. For the nostril, we will start with a very sharp curve, coming down to the front of the nose, back up, and another very sharp curve. Then we will come around the outside and go around and then taper off slowly, because this is where it will come into some beveling only. And so we will continue cutting just as you see. And this is how our tiger head looks after we have done all of the swivel knife cutting. We will begin the beveling with a number B702 checkered beveler. I'm going to use that to bevel around the ears. And it's just a matter of setting it in the cut and walking it, as you can see. And we will do that around the outside of the ear, and I will also do it on the inside of the ear with this checkered beveler. It's not quite as deep. We'll do it along the dotted line that we had inside of the ear. And we'll do the same thing to the other ear. Next, I'm going to use the number F896 figure carving beveler, and we're going to use that to shape the nose and the other details on the face. Please note now, as I use these, I'm going to fade it off, as you can see, so that we don't have a sharp halo on the back side of it. We will come back later with a modeling tool, and we'll even do more with the contours on the face. But for now, we will continue with this modeling, or with this figure carving beveler. Now, up here on the top of the head, I want you to notice that I'm going to bevel from both sides. We'll do the same thing down here under the nose. We'll bevel from both sides. And we'll do the same thing here on the bridge of the nose. We'll bevel on both sides.